Hello, we're at session 5 of Sewer City Sorrow. In our previous session, our intrepid heroes came into a bit of a snag in their investigation, but I believe our great and powerful and somewhat hole-punched Goliath will like to explain what happened to the best of his knowledge.
So yeah, it all started as another normal night shift. The sergeant was giving out everyone's orders, but asked us to stay behind after everyone had left, and then gave us some different orders in an attempt to find out who this mole is, if there even is one. So we were sort of told to go look at this scene where Kenai was killed. It was Kenai. And when we arrived, Olo spotted an old man being. Well, he looked like he was being mugged, and when we followed him into the alleyway, things took a turn for the worse, and the old man and his attacker turned out to be some form of fae that drained our blood and became really strong and kicked our asses just as easy as anything. And once they'd taken,
you died, right? You guys all died?
Pretty close. And once he'd taken pretty much all of Uther's blood, he ran off, and the sergeant arrived and helped us back to the guardhouse, and that's where we are right now.
I think you left something out.
Oh, yeah, I know about that.
Well, not even beyond that. I heard you guys had some new replacement corporals. That's what I heard. Do you remember?
The replacement recruits?
Oh, no, replacement corporals.
Oh, replacement. Oh, yeah, Olo's a corporal now. Yep.
I mean, that's what happens when you're the best of the best. What can I say? Olo got promoted to corporal, and so did Hardy.
Hardy, yeah.
No, they never seem to say anything nice about Rom, but, you know, he's trying. It's discrimination, I can tell you. I'm going to file an A9 immediately. Should I
go to HR. File a complaint.
Yeah, go to HR. It's right there in the river. You got to go right to the bottom of the lake, man. Get down there. They have an office just for you. But our powerful heroes have just rested from a very deadly encounter with a fey creature. And Olo has just been told in the secrecy of a dark alleyway by his dearest friend, Anna, also known as the gutter rat who robbed Rom when he was not paying attention, that her mother, a human woman by the name of Maria, was taken away to a nearby butcher shop for reasons unknown. And with that, the three of you are standing in front of your sergeant. She's looking a bit concerned that you all nearly died, but she has just handed a very strange-looking sword to the three of you. She kind of shows you this weapon, and you just see this overly long blade. It almost seems unwieldy, but you can tell just by staring at this blade is elven in craftsmanship, and the long curved blade has a highly stylized hilt that appears to be a thorn vine covered in unblooming flowers. The weapon is actually surprisingly light, and even the most basic of smiths could tell that it seems to be forged out of the finest mithril. But beyond that, you don't really know much or anything about it. If any of you would like, you can take a history check. Maybe you might recognize who crafted this weapon. But I'm going to say without access to a library, this will be a bit hard of a check right now.
Okay, I'll roll for that.
Make that a DC 18 check.
Ooh. Is it elven or anything like that?
It is elven related, but
All right.
nothing that you would necessarily be super familiar with.
Got a 15.
Yeah, I'm also gonna roll for this one. I got a 15 as well.
You guys look at it, and it seems vaguely familiar to you, but you just don't know what it is. You're kind of staring at it, and your sergeant kind of smiles as he kind of presents it to you. Uto, perhaps you can try it out. She hands you this weapon, and you would know that this is not a weapon you could hold in one hand. But as you kind of grab onto it and hold it, you can immediately tell that it's so light that it's almost like holding a greatsword in one hand, but not quite as powerful. These weapons would probably have been known in the past as bastard swords, but due to its lightweight material, it obviously is capable of being held in one hand. And she kind of smiles and says, well, one of the things about this sword is it kind of resonates with the spirit of its owner. And while I could perhaps tell you everything there is to know about it, you can only truly unlock its potential and power by discovering it yourself. And I have to admit that this weapon was a gift from my superiors long ago, and it can kind of detect your spirits. And over the years, if you become complacent or weak, perhaps it loses a bit of its edge. And I have to say, as of late, for me, it's grown ever so dim. But I sense a great spirit of justice amongst the three of you. Perhaps you can put it to use and make this world a little bit better of a place.
Sort of hefting the sword and giving it sort of a light swish. It is as light as a feather. I will make great use of this sword if the others will allow me to wield it. They have their magic.
Is this acceptable, gentlemen? All right. I would just kind of like to give you a demonstration here. And she pulls out a warhammer, and she just says, "Well, I don't have to tell you this, but magic items are quite rare and quite special." And she kind of just wheels back the weapon, almost as if she's about to strike you. But she says, "Hold it firm, please." And as she kind of swings this warhammer at the blade, she hits it right on the edge of the blade, and you just hear this disgusting cracking noise. And even though you're holding this weapon in one hand, you just see this warhammer is just almost wrapped around your weapon. And you take a quick closer look, and it's almost like this weapon is just cracked and just shattered around the edge of your weapon. And she just says, "Well, it appears that it's not at its weakest form for you anyway. Just be aware that magic item will, in almost all cases, be vastly superior to a non-magic weapon. To say if a person were to attempt to parry your weapon with a non-magic weapon, there's a high probability that the non-magic item would be destroyed." And as she pulls the weapon back, you just see just chunks of this metal warhammer just kind of crack and fall on the ground. But I have to say, the only thing that this weapon can do in its current state is detect malice. And she says, "Uto, is there anyone that you particularly hate?"
See a smile just grow on his face. There is one, the dwarf Felgarm. I hate him for cheating in our duel.
And as you say
honorable.
cheating, you can kind of see this weapon kind of shimmers and glows a very light red. You can sense that you don't like this person, but surprisingly, your malice is not as powerful as you might think it is.
Wow.
Well, I've seen it glow much brighter than that, so apparently it is not the most important thing in the world to you, perhaps.
He is still a formidable fighter, and he was my friend. But
Perhaps you don't
Right.
wish to kill him, perhaps.
oh, I do not wish to kill him. Just beat him.
All right, well, don't revel in your destruction of him too much. But perhaps after your nights, I can perhaps get you access to a more appropriate area to learn about this weapon. But that'll be for another night. And she kind of gives you the weapon. And mechanically, for what you know about this weapon, this is technically a magical bastard sword. It's a special weapon I designed. It's nothing special. It does a D10 when held as a one-handed weapon, or 2d6 as a two-handed weapon. So it's basically an improved versatile weapon. But there is no magical bonus to hit or damage yet. But obviously, if you hit something non-magical, you will wreck the shit out of it.
Well, yeah. I'm guessing it's just like magical damage, but not no pluses or minuses.
Yeah, it's like a weapon of warning. It's technically a magic weapon. If you hit a gargoyle with it, it'll penetrate the magic resistance, but it has no additional power behind it beyond that.
It's a bastard sword, right?
Yes.
Put this down. There we go. Cool.
Yes, and perhaps you can tell me a bit about it when you return. But would you guys like to tell me what you would wish to do this evening, or you wish you could keep that secret amongst yourselves? I can understand the other way.
Well, I wish to rest for a little longer, patch my wounds. But it is up to Corporal Olo what we do tonight.
We didn't make it to the crime scene, so I figured we were going to go there next.
Yep. That sounds like the best plan. I say we just finish resting up here, make sure that we have all the equipment we need, and head to the crime scene. No distractions this time. Got me, Longstride?
Your mic's a little low, by the way, Lionel.
I thought we sorted out this problem when we were testing it for like an hour and a half before this. It was fine.
Thanks.
Is it low for you guys as well?
Yeah. Is your mic just like not? Is the boom just not down or something?
Are
Or
you gonna pull the microphone part down, maybe?
oh yeah, the microphone part's on top of your head.
Nope.
No. He's using a Yeti.
Oh, the Yeti.
Yeah, you need to try moving it just slightly closer if you can. I know it's quite a big stand.
Yeah. I'll just move my keyboard out of the way. Is that any
Yeah, you don't need your keyboard. Hopefully that'll improve.
All right.
the
Well,
situation.
it's not the end of the world. We'll continue for now.
Yeah.
I thought we'd fixed it, but obviously something's gone wrong.
Yeah. All right. If there's anything else you need, just ask. And she would kind of look over your injuries. They're pretty bad, but you have to understand these are knife wounds. So although they look pretty bad, they're not particularly deep or surprisingly like life-threatening wounds. They're just ones that will nag and just kind of claw at you for a while until they recover. Yes. Well, I have endless stacks of paperwork to do. If you ever need anything, just ask. And you kind of see her go back to her office, and she leaves the three of you to whatever you wish to do.
Spend some hit die. Otherwise, I
Yeah.
might die.
I already spent mine. So.
Okay. I was waiting till this time. What am I on? 10. That's it. Right. Let's try. Just Rolling one at a time is what I get. Fantastic. I need to roll some more.
Just walk it off.
I just roll all three. Oh my god.
Mm.
Oh,
Dang.
okay.
You know what? You know what really hurts right now? Your ribs. Those hurt. pretty bad.
All my stab wounds, they hurt real right now.
Do you need a health potion or anything?
One. I might.
By the way, you guys do have the 6 health potions, right?
Yeah.
5.
5 now.
5.
Yeah.
Okay.
Look what I rolled. 2, 3, 4.
And we also forgot to mention that our dear brave corporal knocked himself out in chase of the villain.
Oh,
But
yeah,
that's
he'd like
just
to-
a minor.
I
That's
thought,
a minor detail.
I thought you'd like to forget that. All right, hold on.
Nobody knows about that. All right. Well, what does that put you at with your con modifier?
I'm currently at 20 HP
That's like level,
out of 31.
that's tougher than level 1 barbarian.
Yeah. No,
That's
wow,
all
unless
right.
they're raging. Wow. Yeah.
It's okay. Let's not go by the top of the curve, guys. Let's go by the middle. Yeah. So the 3 of you obviously rest up. Obviously, the wounds are a bit more brutal on Uthal. Apparently, he bandages up his wounds, but you can tell he's lost quite a bit of
Oh, yeah.
blood.
I managed to tank 50 damage last time, so yeah.
Drink this, big guy. Hands him a health potion. And pats you on the back, and you probably like flinch.
What does that do? Like 2d?
2d4 plus 2. Roll high.
I did.
Below average. Again.
Uh,
It's only 1 below average.
yeah.
You get back 8. Or actually, no,
Uh,
I'm sorry, 6, right?
6. Yeah. Okay, so I'm down 5 HP. That's still good.
That's okay. Is your Goliath?
I get
ability on a
my
long
Goliath
rest?
ability back now,
Short
so
of- okay, that's good.
just short rest.
All right, so your sergeant kind of goes to her office, leaving you 3. What do you wish to do, Corporal Olo? Or what do you say?
Yeah, as we finish our short rest, all right, grab your gear, boys. Time to head back out. And Olo says that with this like bandage wrapped around his head to because he cracked his head open earlier in the evening. He fell trying to die. So he probably looks rather comical with this bandage wrapped around his head, just above his eyes.
For sure. All right, so the 3 of you guys get your stuff together, and are you going to the same crime scene as before, or is there anything else you wish to do or
I
say?
don't think we ever made it to the crime scene because we ended up seeing the that old guy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, after you guys did the whole incident, your boss kind of gave you free reign to do whatever you feel is appropriate. So whatever you want to do.
I feel like we should go see the butcher shop then.
All right.
Seems more relevant.
Has he told you about the butcher shop yet?
No, he hasn't. But that's like a player thing.
Okay.
So,
Well, it's up to him to tell you that, obviously.
I think
Yeah.
at the end of last session, I had kind of alluded to it when we were back talking to the sergeant. I had said, "Oh yeah, earlier this week I heard rumors about some nefarious types hanging around this butcher shop. Yeah, I think they're linked to this investigation that we're doing."
Okay. Well, Rom, having heard that, would probably agree with you. Uthal, are you okay with this?
Uthor follows the orders of his superiors,
Even if they are.
even if
1/10
they
the
are
size.
up to his knee.
Okay. So the 4 of you, or I should say the 3 of you, walk back towards the crime scene you guys had originally been to, but you guys kind of know the butcher is a little bit down the street. You kind of head down that way. It's still very cold. It's a bit awkward. You have these very nice cold weather outfits you bought the other earlier than today, I believe.
Mhm.
There may be a bit. Probably have to. Do one of you have prestidigitation, right?
Yeah.
You probably
Yep.
would have spent like 5 minutes kind of pumping all the blood out of them.
Yep.
and so on and so forth. And they're pretty warm. The weather's obviously awkward, but not anything that's life threatening. And you guys would head down the street, and you'd kind of look to the left, Rom, and you'd kind of have this like anger, almost like a slight annoyance would pop in the back of your head as you would see the boarding house that Anna had misled you guys into taking her to, and you would kind of remember that this girl. I don't think Olos told you it's her that you're here for, but this girl is the one who's robbed you in the past. And to the right, you see the butcher shop that had been mentioned long ago, back in session 1. And the building looks closed for the night. Nobody seems to be at home. At least that's what it seems like. There are no lights on inside. It's dark. The door seems locked. What would you guys like to do here?
Are there any like windows into the basement or anything like that?
This looks like surprisingly, it looks like a one-story building, from what you can tell anyway. There might be like maybe a second story, maybe like a small attic of some sort, but this does not look like a gigantic place by any stretch of the imagination. But you would kind of case the area about a bit, and you notice there's some windows in the front, and as you kind of walk around the perimeter a bit, you might see a few small windows, like pretty high up on the side of the wall, maybe 8 feet above the ground, but they're way too small for a Goliath to squeeze through. Maybe a human or a halfling could fit through, but it'd be pretty awkward to get inside one of those. So, how do you guys want to try to approach this? Seems closed, but obviously that would be a nice excuse to have.
What do you think, Rom? Do you think you can find a way for us to get in there?
Well, the way I look at it, we have a few options. I could try to pick the back door, or Uthal can give me a boost into that window up there. You point up.
Why don't you send your rat in there, or a bird?
Yeah. And then he just like chitter a little bit, and you see this rat come out of his hat. Just like comes down like the back of his head and down onto his hand, and he like lets it climb up the wall, go up to the window and see what it can see.
You guys all give me stealth checks real quick.
Okay. Oh, I'm super stealthy. Got an 11.
17.
A 5.
Yeah, you guys are starting to make a bit of a ruckus outside the building, but you managed to kind of slip your rat up. It's a rat, right?
Yeah.
Your rat up into this window, and the creature kind of scurries down this strange little it's almost like a vent kind of, and it would scurry out to the edge, and you would enter this very unusual looking dark room, and it's kind of hard to understand what it is, but after like a minute you kind of see these 9 chains just kind of dangling there. You can ever so often kind of hear the slight dripping of some sort of liquid on the ground.
Okay.
Your rat obviously doesn't know what all the stuff is, but it looks like maybe like chains from what you can see.
Okay. Well, I guess that's like the meat hanging room.
It would seem so. Your rat could kind of take a look around, and these hooks are kind of in a bit of a grid formation, kind of like 3 rows of 3.
Okay.
And beneath them, you can see like stains on the ground. You can't determine what kind of stains these are, but they're probably blood of some kind. Your pet doesn't have dark vision. I mean, it has dark vision, but dark vision doesn't give you color. So
It has advantage on like smelling and hearing perception, so I don't know if that would help.
Yeah, it would definitely smell like flesh,
Okay.
be it human flesh, animal flesh, to a rat. It's all kind of the same delicious meat to it. But upon further inspection, it does notice also beneath these 9 chains, they are number coded. The first chain is 1, second chain is 2, so on and so forth. Probably some sort of basic system to keep track of which meat is which. If a customer asks for something, they would probably put it on chain 1, so on and so forth. But nothing particularly groundbreaking.
Okay. So I guess I recall the rat that comes down and like kind of chitters softly, and he says, second floor seems to be the meat hanging room. Nobody in there.
Well, it's all the first floor. It's just the window kind of looks down on this room. It's all one story from what you can tell.
Okay. Window leads to the meat hanging room.
Yeah, that's kind of you can tell that's in the back of the store. You're not sure what's in the front of the store.
Okay. Should I try to pick the lock and then you can boost us into the window? Uthal?
Is there a reason for us to be getting into here? I mean, is there anything illegal actually going on?
I don't see anything illegal, but we have reports and we need to investigate.
Oh, Olo, what exactly were these reports? Were they of inside the shop or what?
You're muted, Lionel.
Sorry. That they're stealing stuff and hiding stuff. I think they were even saying something about kidnapping people and probably selling them in the slave market. I mean,
Well,
we definitely are going to have to investigate that. I mean, it's our duty, right, as watchmen.
yep. Well, okay, I'll boost you up.
I'll unlock the door for you, just in case something goes wrong. And I'll try to unlock it with these tools. Well, first I'm gonna see if it's unlocked. Joe.
Yeah, you grab the door handle and it's locked.
It's locked.
You tell it's a very basic rudimentary lock, though.
Okay, I'll unlock it. Hopefully. Ugh, really?
What's your total?
7?
Yeah, you're kind of jiggling with it, and you know it's a very basic lock, but whatever reason, you're kind of still maybe a little bit tired.
I'll use my inspiration on that.
Okay.
11.
11 actually does manage to do it. You manage to power through this lock, and the door kind of clicks open, and seems to be unlocked for now. You're gonna push Olo through the back. Is that the plan?
Yeah, whoever's going through the window, Uthal will help them get up there. Probably just by picking them up and hoisting them up so they can grab onto the sill.
Yep.
All right.
So who's actually going through?
Olo.
Olo.
Yes.
Cool.
Don't drop me.
Okay. So you easily manage to hoist this 35 pounds. This is like lifting up a baby.
It weighs less than my armor.
Yeah. It's literally like trying to put on a heavy shirt at this point. You lift him up into the window, and he begins to... You're going to crawl through, right? Olo?
Yeah. Yes, I'm definitely
You kind of quickly realize there's a bit of a problem with this, as I don't believe you have dark vision, do you?
I do not.
It's surprisingly dark inside of a closed building. You can maybe see faint shadows as you kind of try to crawl through this crawl space. You have any sort of ability to help you out here?
I am checking.
You could whisper down that you can't see, and I could go that way instead if you want.
Yeah. Hey, hey, it's really dark up here. I can barely see my nose in front of my face.
All right, I'll go.
Oh, roll me a stealth check.
Actually, then he remembers. Yeah, I will roll a stealth check. But then he remembers. Oh wait, never mind. And you hear him kind of whisper something, and as he does, these four little globes of light appear in front of him. Like they look like little, like almost like fireflies, and they're kind of glowing like this yellowish green. And as he blows on them a little bit, and as he does, they get a little bit bigger and they start floating around. He goes, I forgot I could do that. And they kind of zip down into the butchery ahead of him. And I'll do my stealth. Yeah, that is a 7.
Okay, so you're kind of very noisily kind of walking through or crawling through this event. Somewhat loudly, you kind of call out to your allies for assistance, and then you create these lights in there that kind of flood into this area.
So I'm in like a kind of a vent. I'm not dropping down.
Oh, obviously, once you walk to the end of this vent, which isn't too far down, the rat walked for a bit and managed to get to a vent that kind of overlooked this room. And you kind of look down and you see these 9 chains with the light kind of illuminating the area. You can see the ground is just kind of stained red with blood. You see blood just kind of everywhere. Obviously, they hang meats here that usually have been cured or dried, but they obviously would also have very fresh meats that are here as well that have yet to be cured.
Right. Yeah, so I would get to the end and I would drop down with these. So I could basically cast dancing lights.
Yeah.
And I would use that to light around me as I make my way to let them in.
Sure, you're gonna walk up to the front door.
Yeah.
So just to kind of describe the room to you a bit, you see the 9 chains that are kind of dangling there. You can every once in a while you might see a dried piece of blood might chip and fall, but beyond that you can see the walls. They have just butcher stands. You can see chop marks in the wood, and you can just see all kinds of implements for cutting and filleting and just curing all sorts of meats. But beyond that, it doesn't seem too impressive. You do see a door on the opposite side of the room that you can only imagine would lead to the front room that your allies are probably waiting for you to open.
Yeah, Olo would.
Roll me a perception check, by the way.
Okay.
I was gonna say we unlocked the door, so we could just walk in.
Yeah.
Nat 20 on my perception.
As you kind of step in, just kind of out of the corner of your eye, you sense some sort of movement, and you kind of look for it, and it's kind of hard for you to realize what it is. But after a second, you realize that there was another vent, kind of somewhat adjacent to yours, perhaps leads out a nearby window. You could have sworn you saw something move out of that, but you know it's gone now. Whether it was a rat or a person or anything, you're not quite sure, but your senses were tingling and something maybe was watching you. You don't know.
Uthal will be just keeping outside and just keeping an eye on the street. he has a lamp, so he can see somewhat in the dark, but not very great. He's sort of just keeping an eye on the rooftops and up and down the streets, while
Okay.
his partners in crime are busy breaking into a butcher shop.
Okay. Well, Olo, you're gonna head to the door, or you have something else you want to do?
So, upon seeing that out of the corner of his eye, I mean, Olo would never admit that he was afraid, but his heart starts beating faster, and he just pads as quickly as he can over to the front door and opens it up, kind of pokes his head out.
And you realize that it doesn't lead outside. It actually leads into a smaller room, and your companions actually see you as they kind of can look through the. I guess only Dan's character Rom is technically right outside the door.
Yeah.
You can kind of see through the glass, and this is actually like a small little ante room, perhaps, but it's kind of like the counter, the desk where they do the business, and you see him open the door, and there's this big desk. It's hard; you could barely see him. But the fact that you saw the door open, you look down, you can maybe see the top of his head behind this like 3 foot, 4 foot tall counter. You see him kind of scurry around.
You would see like two of those globes would like as he opens the door, they'd like bloop, they'd pop into that room ahead of him.
I'd slip in then.
Okay, you kind of slip in there, and you see this counter. As I said before, it's pretty large. You see a bunch of cubby holes behind it. Only Olo has access to those from his side. Obviously, you could hop over and take a look, but beyond that, there's nothing that immediately catches your eye.
Did you find anything interesting?
I definitely saw something. Where's Uthel?
Uthal, you feel like a tickling on your leg, and you look down. You see the rat just like gnawing on your pants, and then skittering off inside, as if it's trying to call you to come inside.
Taking another just quick look up and down the street, he'll head inside. Did you find anything?
He said he saw something in the other room. I think it's worth checking out.
All right. I'll lead the way. And he'll just walk in. He's no point. He can't really try and be quiet because he's wearing fairly heavy armor. So yeah, he'll go into the room and all the chains. Where did you see it? What was it?
I'm not really sure what it was. I only saw it out of the corner of my eye. Could have been a big rat, but I think it was another person. And so Olo would just point in the direction where he saw the movement.
All right, and I'll look around to see if I can find any signs or like a hidden vent or anything like that.
Yeah, you guys can all roll me either a perception or an investigation check.
Oh man, rolls are not good.
17.
Got 10.
Yeah, with the 10, you're looking around. You don't even know that there's a vent in here, but you're like, if you say there is, there must be. The only thing that catches your eye is obviously that there's these 9 chains. They're somewhat well kept. I mean, it's not the most high-end establishment, and they're just kind of dangling over these 9 numbers that are pretty nicely written out. But Uthal, what was your number? Even lower?
A 6. I mean,
Yeah.
I was looking specifically at the vent that. Whoa, that's a lot of dice. At the vent that Olo said he saw this thing, like trying to peer inside and see if there's any like markings on the on whatever it's made out of.
It takes you a while. First, you don't even notice it, but eventually Olo kind of just harasses you enough where you kind of get where he's pointing at, and your eyes kind of drift over there. And what did you get, Olo?
I got a 17.
Yeah, with the 17, you kind of look up and your eye kind of drifts a bit, and you notice the ceiling above you is a bit strange. It's not uniform like you would expect. It's a bit strange. It's like maybe it's been damaged or fixed, but you can tell the joints at the ceiling aren't all the same.
So, what do you guys make of that?
He looks up.
Yeah, you gotta take a look and you notice that obviously these 9 chains are connected to the ceiling, but with what he says, it does look a bit unusual. They're not just regularly just kind of part of the ceiling. They kind of seem to be like an extension of it almost. It's a bit strange.
How high is the ceiling?
I would say you could easily touch the ceiling. You're 8 feet tall, right?
8.5, yeah.
Yeah. It's about 10 feet tall, maybe
Okay.
maybe a little bit less. You could easily kind of just reach your hand up and touch the ceiling if you wanted to.
Yeah, I mean, you said there was some kind of like, it looked like it was damaged in some way?
It's kind of hard to say. Ola mentioned that it looks weird. These chains, they kind of reach. Just kind of imagine these chains kind of come out of the ceiling.
Yeah.
But you're not quite sure like
They're not
where
like fixed to the ceiling, they go like straight through.
Yeah,
No.
they look kind of strange. Like it's not like a normal way. And roll me a perception check. Actually, roll me a survival check for the vents you were looking at.
Yeah, what also after that, what I wanted to do is oops. Okay, that's a 20 for survival.
Yeah, before you go look at the other stuff, you kind of peer into this vent, and you can kind of just pause and you just take a sniff, and you can tell that's not the stench of any beast. You're an expert at tracking beasts, and that's no beast. It kind of quickly comes to you like there has to have been some humanoid creature of some kind was in here, but has obviously fled.
Yeah. The others would see this sort of look of surprise on Uthel's face, and he looks like he's just realized something, and he wants to like. Is it possible to take off like the vent cover? Is there like a cover for this vent?
Yeah, you can kind of peel it back. It's not like a super complex cover. It's just mainly to keep the dust out.
Yeah.
A very thin screen.
Yeah, and he wants to sort of inspect the inside of the vent for like any kind of marks, like claw marks or something like that.
Yeah, you don't notice any claw marks per se, but you can tell that there's the scuffing and such of a creature that had probably been in there before. You could tell something has been walking in there. If you were to kind of look over to where Olo came out of, you can tell it's been disturbed. Normally this would be pretty dusty, but this one has been very frequently traveled through. There's almost no sign of dust. Whereas the one Olo went through had a lot of dust in it.
Is there any fur or anything like that?
Nope, no fur.
Okay. So how wide is the vent? Like enough for a man to fit through?
Yeah, Rom could probably fit through. It would be just really awkward and slow. As an elf, he could. A very thin human maybe could.
Okay, something sort of between Olo and a small human. Okay.
Yeah, they have to be very lithe.
Okay.
Well, obviously, like a woman would be able to fit through a lot better than a man.
So when
there's definitely something in this vent. Not sure what though.
Rom would be looking at these chains that go up into the ceiling, and he would try to figure out like why they wouldn't just be attached to the ceiling in this area, why they would go up through it.
All right, what are you trying to do?
Basically, are there any stairs in here?
No, you don't see any stairs at all.
Is the hole that the chain goes through, big enough for a rat to go through?
No, it's not even so much a hole. It's almost just like it would be if there was like a hole. It would be like just the tiniest of things. Like maybe it could retract into the ceiling like an inch or two, but beyond that, no. Anything else you guys would like to do with these chains that are just kind of hanging out here?
I was before the vent thing. I was going to actually tug on one of the chains, sort of near the top, and sort of give it a rattle to see if I can hear, like how, like
Yeah.
if it's like hollow above.
We'll just say you tug on the first one, okay?
Yeah.
You kind of grab it, and you're a bit surprised as you yank on it. You hear a bit of chain above, kind of unwheel a bit. But what's surprising is it's almost like it doubles as not only as a meat hook, but as some sort of lever almost, as you kind of can crank it out like a solid, like 6 inches, almost a foot out of the ceiling. You can almost hear like a clicking noise as you do this. And then after you kind of do so, it automatically kind of goes back up and to normal resting position.
Well, that's interesting. What do you think? Well, another one.
Yank the one next to it.
All right, you yank the second one. You kind of hear the same thing again. You kind of pull out a somewhat decent amount of length of the chain until it doesn't go out any farther. But it does go out the same amount. Both these chains seem to have the same pull distance before it releases and goes back with a click.
There must be some kind of secret entranceway. I'm
I've
betting
only checked
these
for
will
trapdoors.
open something.
You're right, and he'd start like passing his hand over the walls to see if there's any etchings in there or like anything on the floor, anything that like the blood spatters. See if there's any weird anomalies that would point towards a door being there.
All right, go for it.
14. I'm not rolling very well.
Yeah, you kind of look around, and it's not, the blood isn't uniform, but you kind of get the idea that there's a lot of stuff that gets chopped up here. And although they do clean it off, probably they don't clean it off enough to keep it perfectly clean. And there's just so much blood that if there is a trap door that you're suggesting, it's very well hidden and you can't find it. You imagine that if this is true, obviously this must be a very high-end establishment. But you're not quite sure what to do. Maybe if you could figure out the code of some kind, if there is a code.
That's what I was about to suggest.
That's what Ola was going to suggest. Because of the numbers. It's probably some sort of sequence we have to do this in. Should we go back to the office and look and see if there's some sort of clue there?
You guys do that. If I may, I'd like to go outside and see where this vent leads to. I won't go far.
Okay.
All right,
Yeah,
Uthal.
Uthal will head back outside through the front door and see where this vent would lead. Probably around the
Take
corner.
Remy with you.
Or something.
In case there's trouble.
Okay.
The rat like goes up your leg. Goes with you.
All right, so you kind of look and you kind of realize that the second vent that Olo didn't enter through leads out the opposite side. Instead of the back, it's the I guess it would be the left side if you're looking at the front door.
Yeah.
You guys were near the back, maybe towards the right side a little bit. And roll me a survival check.
Okay, that's an 8. Damn.
Yeah, you're a bit confused.
Probably struggling to see.
You're struggling to see in the dark. Have your rat roll with advantage.
Okay. 10.
Yeah, the rat's not entirely sure either. But you kind of look and maybe there's something going on here. You can see maybe there's some sort of indents in the snow on the ground, but it's been snowing, so you don't know if it's from earlier or from recently. But I mean, somebody had to walk through this area before.
But it's probably quite heavily used if he's sort of able to detect that in the dark.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, okay. So the vent's like the same height up the wall.
Yeah, as the other one, they're both roughly about 8.5 feet up.
So, so it's quite tricky for someone small to climb up there by themselves unless they're really agile.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. It's like, how close is the building next to this butcher?
It would not be something somebody could just kind of shimmy their way between, crawl
Okay.
that way.
Well, I was thinking just like jumping from something and then jumping onto the bed and grabbing on or something like that.
That would be quite the feat.
Yeah, okay.
You don't think that would be very likely. I mean, a human could reach the vents. It would be obviously rough to try to get that height. But you know, like a 6 foot
Like a
tall
little
person.
jump and then just grab on.
Yeah, an athletic person could easily do that.
Okay, cool. That makes sense, right? Yeah, he's with that sort of.
It's like
what
dunking,
makes
man.
you-
If you could reach the dunk, dude, you can get in.
Yeah, I'm terrible at jumping. I'm 6'4" and I can't even dunk because I just can't jump very high.
Uh,
But yeah,
Maybe
it's
that
all head back, and no, you can't really gain any more information in this darkness. Head back inside and see what the others are up to.
yeah, what are you two guys doing here while he's doing that?
Checking the desk and the drawers for notepads with passwords on them.
Yeah, you look inside and you see, you kind of look about, you just kind of see, ledgers of things that have been sold. You do notice underneath one of the counters, there is a bag of money there. You see would probably amount to about 25 gold worth of change. A decent amount of money, but nothing. I mean, that's rounding errors for a big time business. But just beyond that, nothing. You would see, if anything, the most valuable thing you'd see here would be like spices, pepper. Would probably be a decent amount of pepper here and salt.
Okay.
But nothing particularly great.
How about in the ledger? Is there any kind of coding in the ledger? Looking at the patrons that have purchased stuff here, is anything? I guess that's what Olo would be looking for.
Yeah, you look at the ledger, and you kind of have some of the same people that kind of always pop up, and you kind of realize that nothing seems too unusual. Obviously, the nearby tavern, I believe it is the Sea Sailor. I believe that's what I had called it. Is one of their main clients. They order a large amount of meat here on a regular basis, but that would fit with what you would know of a tavern. Nothing pops out to you too unusual.
What kind of meat are they ordering?
Most of what they have is cattle and livestock. They don't handle very much fish. Not that you would expect them to in this section of the town, but it's just mostly cattle and sheep. They do have. You do know that from the ledger that they do have a decent enough amount. It's not like they're going broke or anything. They have a large amount of orders. So if it's a front, it's a well-run front.
Okay. Yeah, he would take Olo's advice and see if he would be able to discern some sort of whether it's a code or like some sort of anomaly that keeps coming up that might give us a clue.
Yeah, you're looking through and roll me an investigation check. Maybe you can piece together something there.
Oh yeah, 22.
Yeah, you're looking through here, and you're kind of just counting up the numbers. You're using your knowledge, your book learning as you would, and this all seems to add up. I mean, you kind of think about it, and this is a decent amount of work, but maybe something kind of just nags at you, like, you know, for the amount of money they have here in this bag, kind of just waiting exchange, they don't seem to have the volume of sales. There's no number trick to it, though. You don't think they're hiding the entrance numbers here. You kind of sense that maybe it's more well guarded than that, perhaps. If there is a secret code to get in here, you kind of think about it, and you kind of do remember that those assassins were very keen on killing the other assassins. So maybe the password is somewhere else.
I think we're gonna have to capture one of those assassins, get it out of them.
So you think that that's where how we're learning?
Likely. I'd look around for Thieves' Cant, Joe.
Yeah, sure. You can look around for thieves' cants. Roll me, I guess, an investigation check as you kind of look around.
19.
Yeah, you look around, and you're looking about, and everything seems in order. But you do actually notice, thinking about thieves' cants, you look at the ledger, and you do notice codes. It kind of pops into your head as you're looking, and you kind of see something written, and it says the code. It's kind of it's a bit hard to explain. It says almost cryptically, the code cannot get out. If someone has the code and they're compromised, silence them. And although they mention it repeatedly, there's never a mention of what the actual code is, and it's quite clear that this is something that only very specific people have access to. And you also see another note kind of beneath that, and it kind of is a bit eerie to you, and it says, the lookout can never know the code.
What did you find there?
Thieves' Cant, he mutters. And there was a lookout that we missed.
Thieves' Cant? What's Thieves' Cant?
It's basically like these little symbols and codes that are left behind. And you'll know them when you see them if you have the background that I do.
I thought you were a wizard.
Oh, I am. Wasn't exactly goody two shoes before I joined the force, though.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm sure we all have some skeletons in our closet. I think I hear Uthal coming back.
Dum 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 dum.
Dum!
Walk back into the office.
Try to be as quiet as it could.
And as you hear him kind of stomping in, you guys all run me a perception again.
Ah, fuck. 6.
19.
Yeah.
6.
Uthal, as you're kind of stepping in, your Goliath senses tingle, and your hand kind of reflexively goes to your blade, and there's like you have this instinct in the back of your mind that says there's a worthy challenger approaching, and you quickly kind of turn around, just expecting to see the dwarf behind you, but the figure you see is a bit taller than the dwarf, and you see these two armored individuals. And at first, you're not quite sure who they are. They're not town guards. You guys are town guards. And then it kind of strikes you, and it pops into your head what these are. And these aren't town guards. These are city border guards. These are the same type of guards that were with Samantha Stark, the deputy mayor, your big boss, essentially. And as soon as you notice them, what do? They haven't seemed to notice you yet, but you sense that they're like right outside the office.
We should go.
Yeah, I'm gonna sort of whisper as quietly as I can to the other two, or maybe into the ear of the rat. Just say there's guards outside. We're not exactly meant to be in here. Just stay quiet.
Yeah. So the minute you say that, Olo's lights blink out. So it's darkness now in this entry office.
All right. So you guys kind of all go quiet, and the lights in here go out. And you hear these two voices outside. They sound a bit more professional than your coworkers. You hear one man say, this is the place. So you said there were 3 of them breaking in here. I don't see anyone, but we can investigate. And you kind of hear...
Once he says that, I use minor illusion to make it sound like a bunch of trash cans are like knocking over down the street and around the corner from where they are.
Yeah, they kind of pause for a second. They say, "What is that?"
And then like footsteps.
And you see well, you don't see anything, but you hear one set of footsteps kind of go off. And as you hear one set of footsteps go off, you hear a sound that you probably wish you hadn't heard. You hear a doorknob spin around, and the one guard you can still hear. You hear him say, "Did you leave this unlocked?" And you kind of hear a voice. "No, I always keep the doors locked. They must have broken in." And as they say that, you kind of just hear it go quiet, and you can kind of hear the door begin to open. And from outside the door, you hear, "We know you're in here. Put your weapons down and come out."
I cast invisibility on Uthal before they come in the door.
Okay.
And then I try to like sneak out the back.
All right, roll me a stealth check.
All right.
I will grab onto his cloak.
Ooh. 11.
Yeah, I'm sorry I tripped as I grabbed onto your cloak. I rolled a 9.
Yeah.
Shit.
You start to crawl through the vent, and you make a lot of noise with an 11. And you kind of hear footsteps as one of these guards kind of rushes into this room, and you kind of just see him not trip, but he kind of bumps into these chains, and he kind of gets frustrated. He says, "Who's in there? I know you're in here." And you hear him call out to his partner, and he just says, "They're leaving the back." And you just immediately hear footsteps, and before you can make it out the back, you kind of see the figure of another armed guard standing right outside the alleyway exit.
Joe, I was gonna go out the So my understanding was there was like the back door, and then there was like the vent
The front office, yeah, and the vents.
in the
Yeah,
vent.
so there's which
He was
way
gonna
are
go
you
out the
going?
vents and then
Okay.
like use minor illusion to make it sound like the back door like open and closed.
Okay. Well, as I had said, there's a vent that goes out the same side as the back door, and I mentioned there was a vent that the criminal had used that goes out the left side of the building where there is no back door. Are you taking that vent?
I would take that one just to like misdirect them with the door.
Okay. So you make I'm gonna say you cast the minor illusion trying to trick the guard, right? Roll me a deception.
Oh fuck! It happens after he's at the back door. He's like, "What?"
Roll. I guess I can contest that. What's your total?
7.
Yeah. You cast it at the back door,
Not rolling very
and
well.
the guard looks a bit confused, and he kind of grabs the door and he opens the back door. And Olo, are you behind Rom as he's climbing through this vent?
I thought he was going out the back door and not through the vent.
He told me he's going out the. Aren't you going out the vent to the side?
I
Hello?
would be. Yeah, I
Or,
would
I'm sorry. Rom said he's going out the side vent away from the back door and the vent back door.
Actually, so what happens is Olo grabs onto the edge of Rom's cloak as he's running because he can see in the dark. Olo cannot. So he starts to do that, and then I cheesed my stealth roll so bad that I figure what I did is I stumble over something in the dark that I couldn't see. So my hand slips off of his cloak, and I kind of stumble away. So then I can't really see him, and then I hear this guard coming in behind me. So what Olo would do is, looking back past the guard, he would use his thaumaturgy and he would slam the front door closed to make him think that someone had snuck out past him as he came rushing in.
Yeah, roll me a deception check.
So to answer your question, Joe, Olo is actually still in the main room there with the chains.
Okay, so you're still hiding in the darkness too.
Mhm.
All right, roll me a deception
invisible,
check.
just like
Yeah.
in the middle, like.
Yeah, I got a 22 on my deception.
Yeah. This guard hears this door slam, and he immediately just runs out, and he says, "They got past me. I don't understand." And he immediately just turns, and Olo and Uthal, you hear him just run out of the room. And outside, Dan, you hear this other guard kind of hears this, and you hear footsteps as you can sense these guys moving, but you're not quite sure where.
Okay. So I can't see him or anything anywhere.
You want to poke your head outside of the vent and take a look?
Does it seem like I'm in a good hiding spot right now?
Is it a good hiding spot? You figure there's no way he would notice you without having some sort of idea, because this is 8 feet off the ground, so his eyes wouldn't naturally be looking up unless he has a reason to look up. So, I mean, it seems like a good idea. You do have, like, the window cover on kind of blocking the view, so it'd be really hard for him to see far.
I'd kind of hold where I am, and I guess I'd have the rat peek out and see where they're going.
Your rat peeks outside of the vent, right?
Yeah.
And almost immediately, as soon as the rat pokes its head out, you just see this blade just swipe at it immediately. You kind of get the idea that they're onto you, and that what's the AC of your rat?
That's more than its AC. I think it's 10.
Yeah, this rat just
You kill it.
This rat just poofs into smoke, and the guard just says, "Huh, it's just a rat," and you hear them maybe talking. You're not quite sure, and you hear them kind of start to walk away. And you're pretty confident, Rom, that you think they've left for now.
All right. Yeah. His eyes are like really wide. He's just like staying completely still. Once he sees the rat get destroyed, just like listens to them walk away. And he loosens up, and then peeks his head out like really slowly.
Yeah,
looks both ways.
You kind of poke your head out, and the only thing that kind of catches your attention at all is this like very curious looking crow that is like just surprised to see these men just running around chopping down at little rats that puff up into the clouds of smoke when they get killed. And beyond that, nothing is there to greet you. You just kind of look, and you can see the ground. If there were tracks that this criminal had used to escape with this vent, they are definitely kind of obscured now. You can just see numerous footsteps of an armed guard here, but they seem to be gone now.
Did we see a crow earlier that was like interesting to us or something? Or no, that was like a black cat. I don't know.
I mean, the one I was talking to?
Yeah.
But he loves cats, dude.
Uthor's been talking to birds as well, but he's currently trying not to breathe. Just holding his breath this entire time.
Yeah. I'm gonna use a spell slot to cast detect magic immediately and look at the bird.
Yeah, you cast Detect Magic, and as you cast Detect Magic, you have a... Yeah, you sense this bird is a lot similar to your familiar, but as you cast it, it seems a little bit, just ever so slightly different. When you cast Find Familiar, I know it takes the form of an animal, but what is the creature's base form? Do you know if it's just a spirit? Is it just a...
I think it's. I know warlocks can be like fey fiend or whatever. I'm not really sure.
Yeah, and your magic kind of permeates through this, and it's not probably exactly what Detect Magic says, but you kind of get this very familiar feeling, and you kind of quickly realize that this bird is actually a fey spirit, and it kind of clicks into your head, and you realize that this is a bit about magic, and you figure this must be some sort of conjured animal.
I shoot an arrow at it.
All right, roll an attack.
Kind of like he notices a security camera and 10.
Yeah, 10 actually will miss the bird, surprisingly.
Just a side note.
Yeah.
The familiar can be a celestial, fey, or a fiend.
Yeah, I don't know what you make your creature. I'm guessing a celestial, but I don't know. Fey or a fiend, whatever one you would like your rat to be. It could be whatever of those you would like.
It'd probably be a fey.
Yeah, then it would be a very familiar looking creature, and I believe a crow has an armor class above a 10. I think it's an 11 for Dex.
God damn it.
And it just kind of barely ducks out of the way, and this bird just kind of caws loudly, and it tries to fly away.
Will I be able to get another shot off at it?
Yeah, you can get one more shot off as this bird tries to fly away, but you'll have disadvantage.
God help me. All right. Oh, 12.
Yeah, as this bird tries to fly away, you kind of clip it right in the back with an arrow, and it kind of lets out like a ah, and it just poofs into a cloud of smoke, similar to your creature. And you kind of let out a sigh of kind of relief. And what do you do?
He just mutters under his breath, "Shit." So all the soldiers have left, or there's still more in the room with Uthal, just like where he's standing in the
From what
door?
Uthal can tell, they seem to have left.
I think we should get the hell out of here.
Yeah, can I look out the butcher shop windows and like look at the street?
Yeah, there's not a lot of windows here. You can just mainly the vent windows, but you can take a look out the vents, and it seems empty. You think the coast is clear? The guards, there's no sign of the guards.
Okay. Well, Uthal will whisper to Ola, who's I think still in the room with him, right? Ola, you need to have a look outside for us. We won't be able to. I certainly won't be able to sneak away from this. Have a look in the vent, like out of the vents, and if Ola lets him, he'll pick him up and put him into the vent so he can have a peek.
Yeah. So Olo lets you do that, but thankfully you can't really see the look on his face because of the darkness. But he certainly doesn't look like he's.
Well, you're being picked up by an invisible Goliath.
Yeah. So I will just shimmy ever so quietly down to the vent towards the end, so I can peek out.
Yeah,
see a guard.
You look out. There's no guards that you can see.
Okay. So once I see that, I put a finger on my ear and I look back and I whisper magically to Longstride, and in his head he hears, "The coast is clear. It's all good." And I would shimmy out the rest of the way and drop down.
Yeah, you outside?
Yeah.
Okay, you're outside.
Long way.
And Rom, are you outside as well?
Yeah.
All right, Rom, you head outside as well.
Just get out of here.
Is
Someone was watching.
Is our Goliath gonna pop out as well?
I'm hoping that they tell me that the front of the shop is clear so I can leave.
Yeah.
Because I will make a ruckus.
So this vent would drop me on the back,
Yes.
right? And but there's a door in the back, right?
Yeah.
But that door is locked because we didn't unlock that one.
I thought that was the one we unlocked.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
You definitely unlocked the front door, and the guard tried to open the back door when he heard it shaking, but it didn't open.
Right. So I guess I would shimmy down to the front of the butcher shop, and just check the street just to make sure.
Yeah, roll me a perception check, Olo.
That's a 21.
Hang on.
Oh, snap. All right, give me 1 second here. I'm so fucking good at rolling, dude. You don't understand. Yeah, Olo, you kind of look and kind of see the glint of an object in the moonlight kind of shining through the clouds, and your eyes kind of narrow. And as you kind of pops into your head, this is another armored figure. But before you can say anything, you just kind of hear and a very familiar face kind of steps out from the darkness, and it's Samantha Stark. the deputy mayor from before, and she says, "Well, if I didn't know any better, I would have thought you three were a trio of criminals. What brings you to this butcher shop?"
Business, work. And Olo would tap his little city watch shield.
I'm quite
on some leads.
I'm quite aware of who you are, Olo. I think we met just a little bit earlier today.
Yep. Sometimes repetition. My pa always said repetition is how we learn how we remember stuff. Just wanted to remind you, we work for the watch. Just doing our jobs.
I have to say, if my senior watch officer wasn't here, I don't think I would have spotted you three tonight. But I'm sure you know about him, don't you? No?
Nope, can't say that I do.
Well,
I met
she kind of pauses and she kind of looks you over. Well, I have to admit, many of the officers in this town's watch have quite the special powers, don't they? I believe that the two of you are wizards. Is that correct? And your associate is a ranger. Is that correct?
I dabble a bit. I wouldn't call myself a wizard. A wizard in training, I think, is the more appropriate term.
I prefer the title magician, ma'am.
I see, huh? And Goliath, I
don't even believe I'm even there.
Yeah,
he's
in the shop because no
I,
one's told me to leave.
I understand that you're invisible. And she says, Goliath, can you come out as well? I know you're there. I may not be able to see you, but... And she kind of like just sniffs the air. I think I can sense and smell your fear. I'm not here to harm you. But I digress. My associates, you did a great job tricking them. I may have to give them a bit of a lecture later, but no, I have every reason to arrest you, but perhaps you can explain to me why you're here.
Uth will come out the front door. You'll just see the door open and just hear just heavy footsteps, because until Ram actually ends the spell, I'm still invisible.
Yeah, and then you just see it fade in from his feet up. Then it ends.
And she just kind of sighs. Well, I have to say, you are quite the resourceful trio. And she kind of pauses. I wonder, if I were to look inside that building, would I notice any of the money missing? You three are robbers. I imagine you would have stolen that.
Go ahead and check, man.
Good lady, we are not thieves. We are good men of the watch. Well, I'm a halfling, but we are men of the watch.
Yes, men is meant simply as a term for individuals, not even gender, but yes, I understand. I'll ask you again. Perhaps you could tell me why you're investigating this this building.
Olo had some leads from earlier in the week. We were following up, and there's also evidence of some form of intruder that is being repeatedly entering the shop via a vent.
Well, see, this is a bit of the problem we have here. Generally, if we're going to break into public places of business here, I would hope that you would have quite a substantial lead, someone trustworthy. May I ask who gave you this lead?
We don't comment on investigations that are in progress, ma'am. It's dangerous.
I'm gonna have to ask. I'm gonna have to order you to give me who your lead is.
Looks at Olo.
Sorry, it's like Rom said. If we start giving up our leads, and then we're not gonna have leads anymore. No one's gonna talk to us because they're gonna know that we're just gonna roll on them. It's not safe out on the streets. Maybe you don't remember that. I don't know if you ever remember that, but for the little guy, you start rolling on people, these big guys, and they step on you like a bug.
Roll a persuasion check.
Oh shit. Okay. It's not terrible. That would be a 17.
She kind of narrows her eyes as you say this. This rather tall, powerful, dark-skinned woman. She kind of pauses, thinking, I don't know. Should I be infuriated for you not following my order? Or should I praise you for being loyal to your friends? I sense, though, that perhaps you aren't being completely ethical in your approach, but perhaps I shouldn't arrest you. Look, I'm going to tell you this again. In the future, if you wish to, and she kind of just looks at you, and she you can tell she can kind of see through what you're saying. I believe if you're wishing to investigate Dakar's gang, perhaps you could be a bit more covert about it. Try to get what is the word? I'm trying to say get evidence, get proof, get documentation as to why you're here. Should the mayor have heard you were sneaking about without proper clearance, this could have gone poorly for you. And by the way, I'm imagining, since you didn't wish to tell me who your source was, they were disreputable at best. But I will say, I have been doing a bit of research as late. My druid associates, who I cannot explain to you, they've been doing a bit of surveillance for me as well. I imagine you could probably have figured this out. And she looks to Uthal, the Goliath. I imagine you could tell that they've been spying on you. They've been spying on numerous persons of interest in this town. That is how I figured out who died at the hands of that. She kind of pauses for a moment. I believe it was called a red cap. It is a fey creature. From what I understand, only druids summon such creatures. Her eyes drift over to Olo as she says this. Would you happen to know anything about that, Olo?
Are you asking me if I'm a druid? Because I am not. If you're asking if I know a druid that summoned red caps, no. If you're asking if we fought off red caps recently, yes. Just earlier this evening, actually.
And her eyes kind of narrow a bit, and she looks to Uthal. Now what he says is true. She takes a step closer to you, Uthal. She kind of extends a hand to you, pointing at your armor. And you kind of notice once you're kind of out in the moonlight, you look at your armor, and you kind of quickly realize your armor has been just cheese grated. It's just peppered with holes. And she would say, I would say quite the powerful weapon to cause such damage to armor. I'm imagining that it was magical, correct?
I think it was a dagger that did this to me.
It's not many daggers that pierce through solid scale mail, is it? And as she's speaking, your mind kind of goes back to your blade, and it's at your side. And what's strange about it is the blade doesn't even hum or glow any color. You sense no malice from this individual. At least the blade doesn't immediately. Well, I have to say I'm getting a bit worried by the brazenness of these attacks. Alas, my druid isn't always on call, and should he leave the city for any particular reason, I may be blinded to this. But I do remember hearing from my druid about your unfortunate incident with a particular dwarf.
Yeah, but Thal tenses up at the mention of that dwarf, and just this dark, brooding look just appears on his face. Yes.
Yes.
There is that dwarf.
Well, I understand. I can understand that you wish to get a measure of revenge against him, but perhaps we could do this the ethical way. I don't believe you're the type that would like to indulge in the sunburn. I'm sure you're quite familiar with it. Perhaps we could have a compromise here. Perhaps I wish for the defeat of Decker, and I'm indifferent to this dwarf who destroyed you. But perhaps you can aid me. My druid, I cannot spare him leaving the city. But I believe that your people might know a cure for this sunburn. Perhaps if you were to recover this, you could have the means to neutralize the drug. And perhaps you could defeat him in a fair fight.
Would Ithil be surprised at her knowledge of that? Of like Goliaths with that kind of stuff?
Roll an insight.
Because I'm sort of just wondering, so that's probably a 19. Yeah, 19.
Yeah, let me see how good that is. Yeah. So you kind of hear her speak, and it kind of pops into your head that a normal person would not know this. And then it kind of pops into your head, she does know a druid. You don't know what the race of this druid is. But either the druid that she knows this, or perhaps she's just maybe overgeneralizing the knowledge of a Goliath, perhaps. Or perhaps there's just another piece of information you just don't quite get yet. But you, Olo, you're a bit confusing. You have the stench. No, not the stench. No, that's not the right word. You smell awfully like my druid. Why is that? You are a wizard, yet I can sense the Fae amongst you. This is confusing.
That is. I don't know what to say. I am a country halfling. Once fell asleep near some toadstools when I was a kid. Maybe
she just rolls her eyes, and yes, clearly. Well, what I mean to say is, if you wish, I could get you leave from your position as guards. Perhaps you could have a bit of a vacation to the mountains. Perhaps you could learn how to properly combat this. Unless, of course, you've discovered the secret of this slaughterhouse. Sure, you're quite aware of the numbers on the floor. Perhaps you have figured out the code to enter it.
Can I roll insight?
Yeah, you roll insight.
See if she's being wonky. I rolled 1. I can't see through her solid wall of will.
Yeah, so
It's not readable.
she just says, "I understand that people have been going missing here. I can see as much. Druid tells me many things, but this is a mysterious thing. I can't penetrate this strange building. I know there's some sort of passcode to enter it, but for the life of me, I can't quite figure it out. If we had a person who knew it, a person from the inside, perhaps we could figure it out. Would the three of you happen to know anyone like that? Are there any folks that are untrustworthy? Perhaps they could have the answer you seek."
Yeah. Just quickly, out of character. Didn't we save one of the assassins? Didn't Longstrike throw himself in the way?
This is kind of where it's not really meta knowledge, but I'll say it to you guys. The one he threw himself in front of, you guys would remember that those weren't actual employees of this cartel. They were actually, remember, these were people. They were people who owed debts, and those were used to kill you. You do know, from what you remember, there was an assassin of some sorts who was trying to get the horseshoes that Uthal had almost caught, and they were killed by the assassin. And
Yeah.
you do remember there was a second assassin on the roof that you shot and injured, I believe, but did not capture them either. And then later on, you do remember you had the break-in as well, but again, those seem to be more drug addicts. The only other person who had information about this crime and organization may have been the Goliath, who was chopped to pieces by this red cap. But she seems forthright in her desire to gain access into this building. But perhaps you know of somebody who might know. And your idea about the mole may be a good answer. I don't know if you tell her this.
I wouldn't tell her.
Okay.
He'd also think maybe one of his contacts from the Thieves Guild might know.
All right, maybe. But the offer is out there. I know that you are my, what do they call this? More diamond in the rough, if you will. Perhaps with a bit more polish, you might make yourselves worthy guardsmen. But if you wish, I can offer you clearance to go handle that task. Would that be something you'd like, Uthal? Perhaps a bit of a family reunion?
If I can find some way to combat this sunburn, then maybe there might be someone who knows of how to deal with it.
Would you like me to write up the paperwork to get you your leave? I can offer you. She kind of thinks about it. I can offer you 2 weeks. That is the best I can do. And you would know that to travel up there on horses and back would take you the better part of 1.5 weeks. So you would imagine if you were to do this trip, it would take you would have like maybe a day or two to try to get your stuff done and get back.
Olo, Rom, do you think it is best for me to go seek this knowledge.
Oh, I imagine the three of you would like to do it together. I've heard that the mountain has gotten more dangerous over these past months.
I think we should go get this information first, because once we find a way into this place, I have a feeling it won't be a secret for long.
Then
So if we get that information first, we won't be able to get the cure.
So which one do you wish to do first, the cure or the access codes?
Probably the cure.
Would you like to leave immediately or in the near future?
Perhaps a week from now. Olo?
Yes. Yeah. Week sounds good. That way we could tie up some loose ends here.
I wish to find out what was going through that vent.
And she kind of pauses and thinks for a moment. I wonder. I have to say, if we're going to be honest here, it was not pure chance that these guards wandered up. A butcher working from the shop approached them and said that the three of you had entered their property illegally. Perhaps this is why they approached you. I merely was told by my druid of your intrusion, and I arrived later.
Who owns this slaughterhouse?
Who owns it? You kind of see her pause, and she kind of thinks for a moment. Who does own this? I suppose if I were to flip through my notebook, I could find the ownership of it. But this is definitely a family-owned business. She kind of pulls out this small book, and she kind of starts rifling through it a bit. She says, it belongs to the Scarlet family.
Have I heard of that family? My past dealings or anything like that?
Roll me a history check.
Alright. 13?
The name kind of sounds a bit strange. You don't know what it is exactly, but maybe you sense that your contact might know something. He seems
Okay.
maybe a bit more in touch with that stuff. You've been off the streets for a little while, so it's beyond what you would know. But I don't know. Is there anything else? And she kind of looks you over, and her eyes kind of drift to you, though again. What is that? It appears you have something nice on your hip.
Yes, the sergeant offered it to us after our run-in with the Red Cap.
She offered you her blade. Her eyes kind of narrow a bit as she sees this blade. It's quite the beautiful blade there. I have to say it gleams ever so more in your hand than in her hands. I wonder if it is as powerful as I've been told.
Given time, I'm sure we will find out. I've
You know
yet to
it's-
put it to use.
Do you know its name?
Don't think we were told. No.
She kind of smiles a bit, and you kind of see her hand drift to her side as her hand kind of skitters across this almost like feral-looking axe on her hip. I happen to know the name of my weapon. Perhaps someday you'll learn the name of yours. And with that, she kind of smiles and says, come to me in a week and I can get you the clearance you need.
Of course, ma'am. Thank you.
And with that, she'll kind of walk away, and the three of you guys will be left on the streets. And you'll kind of look, and you'll notice your armor is shredded at this point. You don't even know if it would qualify as scale armor at this point with all the damage it's received.
Well, once she's out of earshot, that was a somewhat close call. Don't you think? I knew it was a bad idea entering that shop.
But we learned something, didn't we? We learned that there's more to that slaughterhouse than the procuring and preparing of meats. Didn't we?
Yes. Yes. And we have discovered something that may prowl the streets along with that red cap. Come, let me show you what I found of that thing you saw in the vents. And I'll just try and lead them around the side to the vent that Ram was climbing through.
Right. What are you looking for?
Oh, I was just sort of going to point out like how well worn the vent was, and that kind of thing.
Yeah, and as you say that, it kind of pops into your head that yes, this vent was well worn, but you do also remember she said somebody had warned her guards of your arrival, and you never saw anybody leave. Perhaps somebody was simply here in lookout, just always making sure that nobody entered the building without clearance.
But you also said that the thing smelt of something that he hadn't quite come across before.
No. It didn't smell like any beast you'd ever smelled before because it was not a beast. It was a humanoid.
It probably
Yeah, but
was
still something I hadn't smelt before, so not elves.
Oh,
not...
no. I think you misunderstood me.
Okay.
It did not smell like a beast because it was not a beast. It was definitely humanoid. From what you
It's
understand,
probably
it was
that woman's voice we heard.
yeah. But it didn't sound like it. Maybe you misunderstood me when I had said it.
I
But
think I did.
yeah, it did not smell like an animal. It was definitely a person.
Okay.
So you think that it's you'd have to imagine it was just a lookout. The writing on the wall had mentioned that the lookout can never know the code. Perhaps this person is one and the same.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
Yeah, I would say with even the most basic of insight checks, you get the idea that perhaps they had a person here that literally their job is to just report any suspicious activity to the town guards.
So we can hide and wait for this lookout to return. See who it is.
Okay. Do that.
Is that what you guys want to do?
Yep.
Okay.
Sounds like a good-
Where are you guys staking out?
So we're sort of in an alleyway between two buildings.
Yeah.
So how long does it extend away from the road? Like, what's sort of the layout that we're in? I'm gathering it's sort of an alleyway which connects to another alleyway which runs along the back of all these buildings.
Yeah, you guys are in the alley on the left side of the main entrance where the vent pops out that's not next to the secret door. Or, I'm sorry, the back door. And you would know that you can kind of maybe pick one of these abandoned buildings and try to stake out what's going on here. But Rom, I guess any of you roll me an insight check.
Crit.
Yeah, your thief senses are tingling, Rom.
We're like, this guy's gonna come back.
Yeah, Rom, you know he's not coming back. You were literally just standing out there discussing with the deputy mayor of the town guard of the whole city, basically, and you were out there pretty plain to see. If they had come back and noticed this at all, they would have seen you guys talking, and you have the idea that they're not coming back.
All right,
Well-
guys. So I think, Uthul, if you could hide there, and I'll go down here so I can watch those vents. So when they come back, what? Wait, why are you guys looking at me like that?
They aren't coming back, Olo.
No. And then maybe for Olo, that's when it kind of sits in. Yeah, probably not because we were sitting out. You know everything you said, Joe.
Yeah. Probably won't come back until the heat has died down. But, at least we'll know not to approach this butcher shop from this side where they can see us.
So you guys kind of get the idea that the heat's gonna be built up here for a while. You're not gonna be able to get in, at least not for a while. Maybe in 2 or 3 weeks, maybe when you guys get back from your journey. But who knows? Is there anything else you guys would like to do for the end of the session here before we kind of hop out? I know we didn't fight today. I think it was the first session where we didn't have a near-death experience for the whole party.
Thank you. Refreshing.
Well, I mean, I guess you guys you guys kind of were in a very tense situation. I don't know how worried you guys were, but yeah, we'll discuss that right after the session.
I would like to go back and see if those new recruits survived the night. See if it's worth learning their names.
Yeah, you guys would eventually kind of finish out your shift, and you would go back and you would see a few of the new recruits. They're all just stupid-looking rookies, but one individual would probably catch your eye. This strange-looking woman, and she would be a bit cheerful, and she would smile and introduce herself, and you would kind of register her name for perhaps a future session should she come back. But beyond that, no, these guys are all just a bunch of no-name people. They all seem to have survived.
Bunch of red shirts.
They are red shirts, but I can say on session 1, you all were definitely red shirts, especially Dan.
Rom.
Rom.
Yeah.
Yeah, arrow to the
Got
neck.
one shot. Oh!
Oh, my only weakness, arrow.
Red shirts are people too. Red shirts are people too.
Just about.
Just
Well,
remember, it's-
they're not as important as us, but they are still people too.
yeah, maybe they'll evolve and become something useful.
Right. You never know. You lift that henchman, that NPC up to something greater than what they were.
So, just to kind of clarify our direction that we want to go with, we're next in a week in game time. We're gonna go do the journey to get the cure, hopefully. And do we want our next session to be that, or do we want our next session to be other stuff. I'm imagining that's our next goal. So I'm guessing we're going to time skip ahead a week and then proceed from there. Obviously, if there's anything you guys really, really need to do, like fix your armor, if
Yep.
it's damaged.
I'm probably gonna have to fix that shit. Don't know how much that would cost, but I've got plenty of gold, so
Yeah, you guys.
sort that out later.
You guys have. I mean, you're not rich, obviously, but you have a decent amount of money.
Well, I was given that big sack of gold earlier, so
Yeah, and hopefully you put it down.
yeah, I've got quite a bit of gold. But no, I think Uthal would spend his free time doing what he was normally doing, perhaps just walking a lot more through the city. But other than that, I don't think I've got any particular things that I want to try and do.
And as you kind of think about everything you've seen, it now has become abundantly clear to you the reason why you could not communicate with these beasts was because they were fey spirits and not actually beasts.
Yeah. I'll talk to you on Facebook about some stuff I want to try with these fey beasts, but we'll do that later.
Yeah, for sure. Anything else you guys want to say before we hop out for the end of the session here? I know I think this was a pretty short, maybe 2-hour session roughly. I did not plan much, but we made it last 2 hours, which I think is a success.
Got some progress.
I think don't break the law all the time is something we've learned.
Well, you guys would have been in.
Just break in without a warrant.
You guys would have been in deep shit if you had stole the money.
Just for the record, many of the laws that you guys are referring to haven't been written yet and properly vetted by the Supreme Court. So I saw that as we were just being creative in how we gather information for a much bigger case.
Yes. Perhaps next time you can get the deputy mayor to give you a warrant to search this facility, and then you won't get arrested. But you do know she gave you the location of her office. It's near one of the gates that leads into one of the nicer parts of town. There's like in the center of the town, there's like a large gatehouse that kind of connects some of these different parts of the city, the commercial district and the higher end district. But Uthal, I'm gonna message you some stuff after the game, perhaps something about your weapon.
Yep.
And how to handle that. I mean, it's up to you if you want your friends to help you or whatever. But with that, I'm going to call the session for tonight, and next session will hopefully be nothing like you guys have had before. You'll be outside of the city, and it'll be perhaps a bit more of a classic D&D session. Sound good?
Sounds great.
Awesome. I'll wait.
And I'll end the broadcasts.